and welcome. Tonight, labor unions set to begin nationwide strike tomorrow after a last meeting with the leadership of the National Assembly failed to avert the impending strike. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi describes planned nationwide strike by organized labor on the demand for the minimum wage as unlawful and premature. Governor Siminalayi Fubara describes his completion of 1 year in office as a miracle, citing the turmoil that rocked the political landscape in the state shortly after he was sworn in. And African National Congress ANC rules out the possibility of President Cyril Ramaphosa resigning despite the party's failure to meet the majority benchmark to form a government. The die is cast. Well, all appears to be set now for a nationwide strike by labor unions starting from tomorrow. This follows the failure of the last-minute attempt by the leadership of the National Assembly to avert the strike, the organized labor to get the labor unions to sheath their swords. After about 4 hours in meeting, which also had in attendance the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, the labor leaders stuck to their gun to go ahead with the strike. Doris Uzoka Anite, the Minister of Science and Technology, Uchin Naji, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, as well as the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Folashade Yemi Esson, were also in attendance. Well, this meeting follows a deadlock between the federal government and the labor unions in recent negotiations on a new national minimum wage and the reversal of the recent strike in electricity tariff. Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, has described the call to industrial action by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress as premature, ineffectual, and illegal. The AGF insists that the proposed strike by the organized labor is at variance with the order of the National Industrial Court and the ongoing mediator settlement efforts over issues connected with the subject matter of the order. But the minister stated that the declaration of industrial action by organized labor was premature at a time when the federal government and other stakeholders involved in the tripartite committee on determination of the new national minimum wage have not declared an end to that negotiation. He also reminded the organized labor of the interim injunctive order granted on the 5th of June 2023, which restrained both the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on any industrial action or strike, stating that the order has neither been stayed or set aside and therefore remains binding on the labor unions. He also pointed out sections 41(1) and 42(1) of the Trade Dispute Act 2004 as amended, which requires both the NLC and the TUC to issue mandatory strike notices of a minimum of 15 days. The Kogi state government has announced the rescue of the remaining 8 kidnapped students of the Confluence University of Science and Technology in the state. The government, in a press release by the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fanwo, also directed full support towards the recovery of the students and their parents. The state governor, Usman Ododo, expressed profound gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for directing the mobilization of resources to ensure the rescue of the kidnapped students. He also recalled the efforts of his Kwara state counterpart, Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, for his personal commitment, his cooperation and support, as well as security agencies towards the success of the operation that led to the rescue. Meanwhile, the Kwara State Police Command has attributed the rescue of the remaining kidnapped students, including 5 female and 3 male students, of the combined efforts of the officers and the men of the command, the Office of the National Security Advisor, the military, and local vigilantes in the state. The command, in a statement, faulted the military for forcefully taking custody of the rescued students without proper handover. Nigeria's former military president, Ibrahim Babangida, believes that it is time for a new narrative for the country in order to change its fortunes, and he believes professionals in the field of public relations have a role to play to make that happen. Well, General Babangida, who was speaking at his uphill residence in Minna, North Central region of Nigeria, when he granted audience to the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations. The visit is part of activities to mark the 60th Diamond Jubilee anniversary of the Institute.
We needed to rewrite the narrative of this great country. And wherever I go, I will be quoting you and be saying that the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, people should come to Nigeria, copy what you are doing, so that other countries will learn. Once more, congratulations for the good job you have been doing to the country and for keeping very steadfast in implementing all what the country expects you to do. I feel very proud of you, and I'm glad that you have lived up to the expectations of the citizens of this great country.
And to other stories, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has assured the people of the state of more dedication and service, particularly on issues of insecurity, which has made farmers flee from their communities due to continuous attacks. He gave this assurance at the interdenominational service organized as part of activities to commemorate his 1 year in office.
It's an interdenominational Thanksgiving service to mark the 1 year in office of the governor. The event is held at the Township Stadium in Jos to climax a week-long program of activities.
As I call on the Taken General Secretary, Reverend Augustine Akawo Elisha, please make your way here.
Dignitaries, including heads of denominational churches in the state, national officers of the People's Democratic Party, political associates, government officials, as well as the state and federal legislatures, joined the Plateau citizen at the service.
My mouth will talk about the goodness of God. My eyes have seen, my ears have heard. My mouth will talk about the goodness of God.
In his exhortation, Reverend Silas Yako observed that the essence of this Thanksgiving is to appreciate God for what he has done for the state under the leadership of the governor.
By testimonies around what you have done in 1 year, many governors couldn't do it in 8 years. So as people of Plateau State, as we tell God, we are also saying to you, may the Lord increase you in Jesus' name.
The governor recalls the rigors of legal tussle, which was eventually decided by the apex courts in his favor, as he assured of more dedication to serve.
We are building a plateau based on justice, based on equity, based on inclusiveness, and will continue to create space for everybody to be included in governance as much as we can. We love our Muslim brothers. We do not bear or harbor any ill will, any ill thoughts against you. And I want to appeal to you, cooperate with us, let's work together.
There were songs, ministration, and prayer intercessions for the state and the government.
Let's head to Rivers State now, where the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has said that he never believed he could stay in office for up to 1 year following the political crisis that rocked the state shortly after he took office. Speaking at a church Thanksgiving to include activities to mark his first year anniversary, Governor Fubara said 2 months ago nobody would have believed that the 1 year anniversary of his administration would hold. He, however, promised not to betray the trust the people have bestowed on him, assuring that governance in the state under his watch will get better by the year.
I can tell you on good authority that even before we started this program, there was every plan to frustrate us. But to the glory of God, we're all gathered here to say, God, thank you that you carried us, you led us to this point. In fact, we have only one song, and that song is to God. He said, from the beginning to the end, there is no place for argument. You are God, God by yourself. We might not have gotten it completely right. We believe that as we move on, it will get better and better. And it is only with your support. I want to thank you from the... You don't understand. You don't understand. What the devil thought was evil, they were going to inflict on us, God turned it to blessing and good.
Meanwhile, a few days after some Ijaw members threw their weight behind Governor Fubara in the ongoing political crisis in the state, another group, this time the Rivers Ijaw People's Pro-Congress, have endorsed and thrown their support behind the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike for his support in producing a governor of Ijaw extraction. The endorsement was given during an event in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, which was well attended by top political office holders of Ijaw extraction from across the riverine local government areas of River State.
As Ijaw people, we are eternally grateful to His Excellency Nyesom Wike for championing and supporting the emergence of an Ijaw song as the governor of River State. We are, however, saddened and embarrassed by the infusion of false narrative of ethnic coloration into issues of disagreement between the governor of River State, His Excellency Sasimilai Joseph Fubara, and his benefactor, His Excellency Barrister Nyesom Wike, and in which the governor appears to weak the Ijaw ethnic sentiment as though there is raging war and acrimony between Ijaw ethnic nationality and Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, His Excellency Nyesom Wike. Nothing can be further from the truth. That over the centuries, the Ijaw people have been historically known for their gratitude to their benefactors, and this has not changed even in this present circumstance.
In part two, after the break, Duchess International Hospital and its partners take free healthcare services to the public as part of its social corporate responsibility, CSR. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television in Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Labour union set to begin nationwide strike tomorrow after a last meeting with the leadership of the National Assembly failed to avert the impending strike. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi describes planned nationwide action by organised labour on demand for the minimum wage as unlawful and premature. Governor Siminalayi Fubara describes his completion of 1 year in office as a miracle, citing the turmoil that rocked the political landscape in the state shortly after he was sworn in. And African National Congress, the ANC, rules out the possibility of President Cyril Ramaphosa resigning despite the party's failure to meet the majority benchmark to form a government. Talk politics in Anambra State as part of activities to mark 1 year in office of the incumbent people and national leadership of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. The party has commenced the electronic registration of party members in Anambra State. Announcing the move as part of his achievements in the last 1 year, The national chairman of APGA, Mr. Sly Ezio-Kenwa, leads the party's National Working Committee to Iswafia to witness the flag-off exercise, where the national leader of the party and governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, alongside his family, have registered digitally.
The national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Sly Ezio-Kenwa, at the regional office of the party in Awka, Anambra State, addresses a press conference on the occasion of the one-year anniversary of the APGA National Executive Leadership that came on board on May 31st, 2023. The national chairman predicates his achievements with his team with the mantra, Drive APGA Agenda, which he says has propelled the party in the area of discipline, rebranding, repositioning, inclusive leadership, and expansion.
We will have strategies of engagement between IPAC as the coalition or a council that brings together or fosters unity across all the political parties in Nigeria and equally forms or serves as a credible and formidable opposition, generating necessary and constructive criticism of various economic policies of the federal government.
He then leads the members of the National Working Committee to a town hall in Agwata local government area, where the national leader of the party and governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, flags off the electronic exercise with members of his family.
If INEC does electronic registration or digital registration of voters in Nigeria, there is no reason APGA, as a foremost progressive party in Nigeria, will not set the pace. And that's what we're doing today.
The governor, his wife and daughter are captured and their paper cards issued to them.
You can see that the biometrics is captured. Yes. The index finger. So your biometrics happen to be part of your membership. So that wherever you come and you then scan your membership card, your details will do well.
While party faithful hail the exercise, which will now commence nationwide, as historic, pictures are taken as a memoir to the new digital beginning in APGA.
Nigeria's national anthem cuts across different generations. Clearly, some may find it very difficult to easily memorize the verses, but could the benefits of the reintroduction of the 1960 national anthem be more of a concern? Tonight, Babangida Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and of course Channels Television's data analyst, is here to tell us more about this new national anthem and what, I don't know. Babangida, it's good to have you on the News at 10.
And the pleasure is all mine.
All right, so let's begin with this. I mean, is there any fair way to even measure the quality of a country's national anthem?
That's a big one. There are different ways to measure the quality of the national anthem. It's quite difficult, but there are three things that we should also look at when we're talking about measuring the quality of the national anthem. The first is to ask ourselves, how many Nigerians can sing the new national anthem? The second will be to ask ourselves, how does the government want to measure patriotism? We know there are easier ways to measure the cost of living, to measure the size of the economy, but how does the government want to measure patriotism? Perhaps we should start with the first one, which is, how many Nigerians can sing the national anthem? And we should not forget that when the old national anthem, now old, was started about 1978, how many Nigerians did we have? National Population Commission talks about 70 million Nigerians. Now we're about 230 million Nigerians. And in simple terms, 75% of Nigerians who are living today have only lived in a Nigeria where the only national anthem they've heard is Arise, O Compatriots. You heard me right. 75% of Nigerians today have only listened or lived in a country where the national anthem was Arise, O Compatriots. But the second question is, how do we want to measure patriotism? Is it by the nationality of the individual that wrote the lyrics? And that made me do some studies, which is across the West African region where Nigeria is, how many and what is the state of their national anthems? And if we take a look at what exactly is going on across West Africa, 17 countries, here's what you notice. Across all of West Africa, there are only 3 countries with national anthems whose lyrics were written by non-citizens. I'm talking about Gambia, the Republic of Niger, and Nigeria. These are the only 3 countries in West Africa that have their national anthem lyrics written by non-citizens. In simple terms, most of West African countries have their national anthems written in lyrics by their citizens. But then, just one more thing. We also have to ask ourselves the question, do we want a national anthem that Nigerians will sing from their mouths? Or do we want a national anthem that Nigerians will sing from their hearts?
Now, which brings me to my next question. I mean, taking a look at those people who know the old national anthem of 1960, when you compare it to the new one or to the one of the 1978, are there major differences?
In terms of context, no significant major differences. In terms of the word count, the national anthem that we have today is about 91 words. The Arise O Come Patriots was about 87 words. So in terms of length, about the same. In terms of keywords, in both anthems, you will find unity mentioned, you find love, you find peace, exactly. You find truth, you find justice. Yes, we're a very religious nation. In both national anthems, you find the mention of God. So perhaps the major difference will be, it could be political. We see that some believe that the national anthem that was used since independence perhaps evokes some sense of pride. But if it's in terms of the overall structure of both national anthems, all we notice is they carry about the same structure and about the same level of words. But is it too early to determine how fast Nigerians are learning it? I mean, some have said they're not interested in learning it. You know, that's a big question, Anne. We also need to ask ourselves that, will it be illegal if the national anthem is sung in Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa? Will it make it a crime? But one of the ways to measure how easy will it be for Nigerians to recite this national anthem is to look at a proxy. And by a proxy, I'm talking about one way to know is to look at how many Nigerians, especially the youths, are literate in English language. And UNICEF provides us that answer in its report on education last year. And if we take a look at what exactly UNICEF talks about the state of education when it comes to literacy, especially literacy across ethnicities, here are the facts from UNICEF. They say literacy across youths between age 15 to 24, 33%. That number is low across the Fulani ethnicity. Kanuri, 49%. Hausa, 55%. We see bigger literacy numbers in southern Nigeria, Yoruba, Ibibio, Igbo. So clearly we need to understand that, yes, we have a new national anthem. However, we have to be careful that this does not fast become a southern Nigerian national anthem, because we clearly see that the English literacy rates across the northern region is quite low.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much, Fajide. So you want to say?
Yes, I wanted to tell you that in the final analysis, yes, we have a new national anthem, but the anthem people are asking the government to change is the people's anthem. And what is the people's anthem? In Yoruba, they say, being power, we are hungry. In Igbo, they say, agunagu anyi, we are hungry. Okay. In Hausa, they say, munaji nyunwa, we are hungry. All right, thank you. We need a change of the people's anthem. All right. Babangida Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television, data analyst. Thanks a lot for your time on News at 10. The pleasure is all mine. Let's talk to other stories now. The Duchess International
Hospital Lagos has partnered, and it has now put together a medical outreach aimed at providing free medical services to residents of its immediate community. Some of the medical services rendered to the public during the event included free consultation, mammogram, laboratory tests, as well as free eye and dental checkups. And the hospital says it hopes to make the provision of free healthcare to Nigerians a regular exercise.
This medical outreach put together by Doctors International Hospital and partners is a second and is geared towards bringing quality healthcare at no cost to Nigerians. Those who need care are here in their numbers, and medical professionals from Doctors International Hospital are also on hand to attend to their health needs. Doctors International Hospital says it is out to ensure the health of Nigerians is safeguarded as partners express delight, saying this initiative provides an opportunity for them to work together and give back to the community.
As part of our CSR, we love to align with such activities to take care of people, and so that's why we are part of the people who funded this activity, and then we're here to also show our moral support.
For me, I think it's an opportunity to give back to the community and also take positions where people can also understand the value of health, value of pensions, because if you are healthy, you can keep saving, and when you keep saving, you're still alive to enjoy your benefits. So that's the beauty with the collaboration and the marriage.
For Doctors International Hospital, this is one initiative it intends to continue as part of its corporate social responsibility.
Definitely, this is a part we'll keep doing. It's part of our own CSR, trying to give back to the community. And at least we have the personnel. So if we can offer these services, at least at interactive consultation level and then diagnostic level, if we can offer those for free, then we know that at least that has helped the patient in determining what is even wrong with them so that they can get the appropriate treatment rather than going for quacks or going to quacks or going to drug sellers and just buying medications that they might not even need and may even harm their body even more than helping them.
A beneficiary, however, encourages doctors and its partners to continue the outreach to enable Nigerians benefit from the free medical services.
Doctors make it possible for people to come and get free treatments. Yeah, it's an encouraging something that I pray they should continue to be doing like that, and more people and the doctors, they are very, very okay.
With a vision to be Africa's favorite hospital and the continent's trusted international healthcare provider of choice, Doctors International Hospital says it will continue to give back to the society through outreaches like this.
And we told you earlier that all appears to be set for a nationwide strike by labor unions starting from tomorrow. And this follows the failure of a last-minute attempt by the leadership of the National Assembly to avert the strike. The organized labor and the labor unions to sheath their swords. Well, after about 5 hours meeting, which also had in attendance the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, and labor leaders stuck to their gun to go ahead with the industrial action. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
With us is the Deputy. At about 5:30, the leadership of the National Assembly arrives at the NAS complex on the eve of the commencement of a planned industrial action by the leadership of the organized labor in what is apparently a last-minute effort to avert an indefinite industrial action. The federal lawmakers are concerned about the consequences of the strike and the collateral damage it would bring.
We are also on the side of the people. We are on your side, but we must also be mindful of collateral damage. I don't want us to, in the course of trying to arrive at minimum wage, we end up with a lot of, with serious issues of unemployment. Because as soon as we arrive at a minimum wage, we will expect the private sector to also adhere. And then if they are unable to do so, the next thing will be retrenchment of workers.
This emergency meeting is among others held with the labor leaders, all in a desperate move to halt the strike.
We are quite committed to finding a way forward, finding a living wage finding a survival wage and not starvation wage for Nigerians.
Things have been really difficult. In the last 1 year, that difficulty has even further exacerbated. And that is why this year's minimum wage conversation is a bit tough and it's a bit difficult.
The meeting later dissolves into a closed door, lasting almost 4 hours before a decision is reached.
As at the last meeting, we were very, very close to signing off. I mean, close in the sense that if the figures were right, it's just to prepare a report and sign. So it's not something that is that lengthy anymore. But we have listened to them. We would take all their plea to our organs, and we would have an organs meeting taking what they have promised and the pleas that they have made to our organs. For now, we don't have the powers to call off the industrial action, so the industrial action will continue while we would have a conversation with our respective organs as soon as possible.
If they are having problem with the executive, the Senate President has said that he is going to wage in. He's going to talk to the President, the entire leadership of the National Assembly will talk to the President on the present situation of the agreed amount by the federal government and the state governments and the organized private sector to pay 60,000. They will come back to federal government, and in turn, we expect that Labour will see reason and call off the strike.
The Labour leaders say they are resolute in their quest to improve the living wage of Nigerian workers. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And talking about strengthening the economy, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, has been speaking of efforts by the present administration to strengthen the economy, fight against inflation, and boost the economy. Speaking on our political program Politics Today, Mr. Edu explains that the present administration is transitioning into the use of compressed natural gas to help the economy.
Fuel is imported. That means that the more supply of foreign exchange we have, of course, the lower the price, and therefore the foreign exchange impact of fuel is lessened. Clearly, it is a combination also of pivoting away from petroleum imports by the time we are now focusing much more on CNG. So it is an ongoing conversation, it's an ongoing process of ensuring that fuel subsidy is eliminated from the Nigerian economy. That is what Mr. President's intent is, and that is what is being worked towards. And as I say, we do have reason to be optimistic. Difficult as it is, those particular difficult areas now are what is being focused on, including, I've said, fuel pricing, to get down transport costs, and even to put purchasing power back in the hands of Nigerians. And the fight against inflation is a fight for all, because inflation destroys not just the value of savings and the value of investments, but it hurts the whole fabric of society. And that's why Central Bank, as an independent controller of monetary policy, is emphasizing it. Nonetheless, the commitment to ease those pains is a very, very robust one, and it is going to keep having beneficial results as we go down the road. Nigeria is on the right path.
All right,
Still ahead on the news at 10, African National Congress, the ANC, rules out the possibility of President Cyril Ramaphosa resigning despite the party's failure to meet the majority benchmark to form a government. Please stay with us.
Breaking news.
Again with the latest Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Developing stories. And the conversations that matter.
We see an increase because of the economic pressure on them. The people are paying more for crossing borders irregularly.
get a glimpse of the world around you on The World Today. Weekdays at this time.
Welcome back. Residents of Atlantic View Estate, Alpha Beach, Lagos have come out to protest what they term discriminatory treatment by a co-electricity distribution company. They were at the premises of EKEDC in Marina, chanting songs of protest and bearing banners with various inscriptions to drive home their plight. Our correspondent Chris Illems reports.
The rain notwithstanding, these protesters come out in their numbers to cry out against what they claim is an unfair treatment by a co-electricity distribution company. They are residents of Atlantic View Estate in the Alpha Beach area of Lagos State, bearing banners that capture their plight. Tired of the series of letters written and unfulfilled promises by EKEDC for the past 2 years, they've not come to meet with the management in person, hoping it will make a difference.
For 2 years, we've not had electricity supplied to our communities, and we are fed up. We've gone everywhere. We've done everything. The new MD, the old MD, we've written over 18 letters without any response. The minister has been here from Abuja on our behalf. No response. If you buy 20,000 recharge, it takes you 1 year to use it because there is no supply.
EKDC has no capacity to supply electricity to the generality of residents in the Lagos Island, including Lekki Axis. We are hereby calling on the federal government to revisit that privatization that was carried out. We need to disband this shenanigan thing.
Based on the poor services being rendered, these residents say the impact, to say the least, has been telling on every aspect of their lives.
You know, we tried last week, we only had like 3 hours. For 1 whole week, food gets spoiled, people are crumbling. Diesel is almost 2,000 naira. And you see people burn diesel every day just to see, it's not working. We're pained. It's raining, but I don't care. I don't mind catching a cold, just that my voice will be heard.
Meanwhile, the General Manager of Corporate Communications of EKEDC says, while the situation of these residents is complicated, they will do all within their means to resolve the issue.
We understand what the issues are, but it's just because the issues are really enormous, and it's not something that we as a distribution company alone can solve. It's a concerted effort that will actually put a lasting solution to it between the DISCO as well as the support from the federal government. But what I can assure you is that talks are ongoing, projects are ongoing. Their timeline for this thing is going to take a longer time. So the lasting solution, the timeline is about August. But from what we've looked at now, we are looking at what is the short-term solution, at least to provide a bit of succor to the entire resident of that axis.
3 hours power supply out of a possible 168 in a week certainly calls for concern. And to be unsure if this would ever be resolved appears even more traumatic. Whatever the case may be, these residents of Atlantic View Estate deserve better, and it remains the responsibility of EKEDC to ensure that. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.
From Lagos to Delta State, where residents of Koko community in Warri North local government area of Delta have continued to protest the sealing of Tara's depot by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority for nearly 6 months. According to the protesters, the closure has brought hardship to residents and contributed to the already difficult economic condition in the country. They're now asking the federal and state government as well as other relevant authorities to intervene and ensure the depot is open for business and other economic activities.
Known as a trading hub for agricultural produce and host to oil and gas operations, Koko community appears to be a shadow of its old self as a result of the sealing of the Tauros depot for nearly 6 months. In the community, residents are protesting the shutdown of this depot, which they say has severely impacted local businesses and the economy. According to the protesters, following the closure of the depot, their means of livelihood has been affected.
As we speak, the vessel has an amount they pay to community. For 6 months, there's no money from the community. You can see shops locked up, no trucks here. We have children that are truck drivers. They are not working. As I'm talking to you, they are breaking our entry everywhere in Koko because of this their obnoxious act. So we are appealing to the government, President Ahmed Tinubu and the Minister for Petroleum Resources, those that are in charge, to come and open up this place so that Delta State governor should wade into this matter, because this thing is creating problem for us in the community.
At our terminal here, the workers, they say should sit at home, no salary, because they are waiting for the investigation to finish. And once the investigation is not finished, all of them will be at home without no salary. And it does not good for the workers. Even same thing to Damara and Co. and Greenmark. It is not good. And we are saying they should eradicate poverty and to make sure that the youth are working. But now, see what the people are doing to us. Workers are sitting at home without no salary. It can even create depression among the family members, and which is not good.
The depot was locked up when a team from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority discovered that about 9 out of the 20 million litres of PMS in a cargo was loaded with water. They appealed to President Tinubu to step in so this does not push the people out of business and into criminality.
I want to beg our President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, make the airport stop for this matter. The hungry don't too much. Make the people put this virus for us.
Let them help us open these tariffs. Even though they want to make they carry the vehicle go, may they open tariffs and Damara and Greenmark, may they help us open it. Hunger are killing all of us here. Here we come to Hozu, who are from, now we come from some people from Meduguri, Katsina, all of us who come to Hozu for here.
For 6 months, investigations have been ongoing without any word from the authorities, with marketers facing financial losses. They are asking the government to consider their plight and restore their livelihood.
And on education, Governor Obasani of Kaduna State is advising young people to embrace education and skills acquisition as the only weapon to fight poverty and insecurity. The governor gave this advice during the inauguration of a newly constructed senior secondary school at Nasarawa Rigachikun in Igabi local government area of the state. Governor Sani also says the number of out-of-school children in Kaduna State is reducing due to the interventions made by his administration.
Residents of Nasarawa Rigachikun in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State are the latest beneficiaries of the infrastructural development in the state. Governor Obasani is in the community to commission the newly constructed senior secondary school in the area, which is considered one of the steps taken by his administration to provide access to conducive learning, especially for the poor and underserved children.
With the commissioning of this school, the issue relating to increased access for learning is achieved, and your commitment regarding improving learning outcome is also going to be achieved.
Commissioning the school, the governor describes education as the only weapon against poverty and insecurity, promising to build more schools in order to enhance more access to learning.
This milestone marks a significant step in our effort at addressing one of the leading constraints that hinders access to education, accessible, safe and conducive learning spaces. Children who learn in conducive environments are confident, relate well with others, and are more creative and innovative.
The governor's entourage then makes a stop in Ikara local government area to flag off the distribution of farm inputs to smallholder farmers for this year's farming season. The idea of the initiative is to enhance sustainable livelihoods through social interventions and economic empowerment.
In his sustained agenda, agriculture is boldly there. So it's fulfillment of promise that as the season has come, he is flagging off distribution of inputs.
The inputs distributed include improved seedlings, agrochemicals to enhance pest and disease management, as well as fertilizers for soil enrichment and optimal plant growth.
We believe support for smallholder farmers will increase the level of productivity in our own state, support our farmers, eradicate poverty, and create jobs.
The distribution of farm inputs to smallholder farmers and small-scale agro-processors covers the entire 23 local government areas of the state, targeting at least 40,000 farmers.
And now to the arts. Screwed is an exhibition of paintings and relief sculpture by two contemporary artists in Abuja, Dolapo Ogunusi and Segun Akao, explore societal issues through their different techniques. Well, we see it in Art Review tonight.
A documentation of the rich history, culture, morals, and experience in society is what this exhibition of steel screwed sculptures and acrylic paintings by two artists, Segun Akano and Dolapo Ogunusi, is all about.
For this body of work, for this exhibition, it documents our history, old and timeless history of kingdoms and rulers and settlers and their way of living. And so if you look at the works, the works that has to do with the past queens of kingdoms, Queen Aminat of Zaria, Queen Moremi, and also stories about our beads, our local beads, stories about our usual Owambe parties and all that, the way of living generally. Basically, our roots, documenting our background.
Multi-talented artist Segun Akano explains his idea with the creation of these relief sculptures, which began in 2016. And since then, he's been perfecting the use of these found objects, especially screw steel, bolts, fasteners, and other metals.
The theme for this exhibition was titled Screwed, and it's a way of projecting my style of work. And it's basically screw on board, and it's if you look at it deeply, there are variations in height of the screws, which depicts the forms and the folds and the clothing. So it's mostly reliefs. They are all relief sculptures.
While painter Dolapo Ogunusi brings a vibrancy and appeal to his acrylic and oil on canvas images to serve as a voice of vision for generations to come.
If you look at these works, apart from enjoying the colorful and the simplicity of the lines, what I try to do, I try to talk to the society, to try to look deep into the society to correct some of the abnormalities in the society and what happens around me. That's what I use. If you look at most of my titles, it rallies around what affects the social reality of the average Nigerians.
Kingdoms, rulers, and traditions have been displayed by these two professionals who've mastered their different media in this exhibition in Abuja.
Jose Mourinho has been unveiled as the new coach at Fenerbahce in front of thousands of ecstatic supporters, while the former Manchester United, Tottenham and Chelsea boss signed his contract on Sunday afternoon as fans chanted and cheered his name in the stands. Also, Mourinho waved the club's yellow shirts in the air before signing what is understood to be a 2-year deal and told the fans that they had made him feel welcome after he jetted in on Sunday after attending the Champions League final at Wembley. France captain Kylian Mbappe has signed a contract also to join Real Madrid on a free transfer with his Paris Saint-Germain deal, which expires June the 30th. Mbappe verbally agreed to move to Bernabeu in the month of February and then announced in May that he would leave PSG at the end of the season. The 25-year-old has now signed terms with Real Madrid and will move to Spain when the La Liga transfer window opens on the 1st of July. Madrid are expected to announce the deal next week. It could formally present the forward at Bernabeu before the Euro 2024. And Greek knight seed Stefanos Tsitsipas has come back from a set down to defeat Matteo Arnaldi and reach the French Open quarterfinals for the 4th time. Tsitsipas, who was a runner-up to Novak Djokovic at Roland Garros in 2021, won 3-6, 7-6, 6-2, 6-2. His reward is a clash with Carlos Alcaraz for the place in the semi-finals. And world number 3 Carlos Alcaraz strolled past 21st seed Felix Auger-Aliassime in 6-3, 6-3, 6-1 to make the quarterfinals of the French Open for the 3rd year in succession. The 21-year-old Spaniard pumped 3-34 winners past an alien Auger as he delivered his best performance of that tournament. Alcaraz has won all 5 past encounters against Stefanos Tsitsipas, who will be his opponent in the last 8. And England Laurie Canter ended the 13-year wait for his first title of the DP World Tour with a shot-2 victory in the European Open. The 34-year-old from Bath had finished runner-up on 6 occasions before finally breaking his duck in Hamburg. A 1-year par final round of 72 was enough to seal victory on 13 under, with Austria's Ben Weisberger and South African Tristan Lawrence finishing in a tie for a 2nd position. And the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, BFN, has opened its training camp ahead of the Paris Olympic Games billed to hold from July the 26th to August 11th. 2-time African champions and 4-time African senior champion Anuoluwapo Okpeyori is Nigeria's sole representative in the badminton event at the Games. President of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, Francis Orbe, reveals that Anuoluwapo Okpeyori is paired with 2 national team players, and that's Victor Ikechukwu and Emmanuel Joseph at the badminton section facility at Ikoyi Club. Well, Obi says that Okpeyori will now join the foreign camp organized by the Ministry of Sports Development in Germany from July the 1st to the 21st. Outside our show, still nearly all the votes have been counted in South Africa's recent elections, and the ANC does not have the majority to form a government. According to results of voting declared, the ANC has just 40% of votes, and the party's Secretary General says that there is nothing to celebrate. The party is increasingly taking a government of national unity, and that's the first time it has done so since 1994. But the idea of a GNU is not new. Well, South Africa had it before and after the end of apartheid in order to promote reconciliation after years of conflict. As for the party's leadership, ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says that President Cyril Ramaphosa will not step down. He is one of the most influential leaders and power brokers in the party. He has, however, promised that the ANC will step out of its efforts to renew itself. Otherwise, in his words, we are gone. A U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby says the U.S. government has every expectation that Israel will accept a ceasefire proposal that could begin a 6-week cessation of hostilities in Gaza. But a 3-part plan unveiled by President Joe Biden just last week would also be a surge of humanitarian aid, as well as an excuse of some hostages for Palestinian prisoners before a permanent end to that war. The proposal, however, has met with vocal opposition from some members of Israel's government. The negotiations are coming as fighting continues in Rafah, which came under intense Israeli airstrikes over the weekend.
The attack on Rafah has drawn more international attention, with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, saying that all 36 of its shelters in the Rafah area are empty after residents were forced to flee. Another 1.7 million people are estimated to be displaced in Khan Yunis and in parts of central Gaza. But the U.S. is confident Israel is open to a ceasefire deal on Gaza.
Don't want to see a major ground operation. We haven't seen that.
The U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby told ABC News on Sunday the U.S. has every expectation that Israel would say yes to the proposed ceasefire deal if Hamas accepts. He says the U.S. is waiting for an official response from Hamas and that the U.S. hopes that both sides agree to start the first phase of the plan as soon as possible. During the initial 6-week pause in the fighting, according to Kirby, the two sides will sit down and try to negotiate what Phase 2 could look like and when that could begin. U.S. President Joe Biden had said last week the second phase of the plan would see all remaining living hostages returned, including male soldiers. The ceasefire will then become the cessation of hostilities permanently. On Saturday, however, 2 far-right Israeli ministers threatened to quit and collapse the country's governing coalition if Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu agreed to the deal. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said they were opposed to striking any deal before Hamas was destroyed. Netanyahu, on his part, has insisted there will be no ceasefire until Hamas's military and governing capabilities are destroyed and all hostages are released.
The main news again. Labour leaders today announced that there is no going back on its planned nationwide strike tomorrow after a last-minute meeting with the leadership of the National Assembly failed to get the Labour leaders to back down. The Labour leaders announced that it does not have the powers to call off the scheduled industrial action, promising to take the plea of the leadership of the National Assembly to their various organs. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a fruitful week ahead. Good night.